Program does not necessarily reflect the opinions and viewpoints of the staff and management of this station.
Welcome to the wonderful world of seniors, the best of all worlds. You now have the time, resources, and ability to enjoy what you have worked for all your life. So let's explore the many possibilities available to seniors on Senior World Radio. Senior World Radio is your source for senior citizens-related topics, information, and entertainment. Now, here is your host of Senior World Radio, Glenn Howard.
Many people dream of retiring and traveling to exciting places around the world, meeting and getting to know international people. But my guest today says that can be done right here in America without ever leaving home. Matt and Anna's in the studio. Hi, guys. Glad you're here.
Hi.
Good to be here.
Nice to have you here.
Appreciate so much. I heard you the other day. In fact, I got a letter from you, Anna, talking about you were looking for people who wanted to relate to international students. You had international students that you was trying to find American families that would kind of adopt them, invite them into their home and get a chance to know them. I thought, wow, that would be exciting. I think there's a lot of grandparents who would really enjoy, their kids are grown, they've got a spare bedroom or two, and the idea of having an international student come live in their home, going to school, or even come and having a meal with them, that would be kind of exciting. So I want you to come in and talk a little bit about it and tell our people how that they can get involved in doing something like this. Before we do that, though, let's go back and get a little bit better acquainted with you. How in the world did you guys, first of all, Anna, I think you're from South America, where?
Yeah, Costa Rica.
Costa Rica. Matt, how did you, I know you're a no Kansas boy.
That's right.
How in the world did you guys ever get together?
We met in Europe where we were doing some short-term missions.
Okay.
We met in Switzerland.
And then a Kansan and a Costa Rican got married and took a job in where? Middle East?
Yep. We took a job in the Middle East. I was teaching English for an airline. Yep.
Interesting.
Yeah, our kids were born there. We spent 5 years in the Middle East. Our kids were born there, and yeah.
I would assume being in the Middle East is probably a Muslim country, which is kind of difficult for wives, I understand. And how'd you adjust to living in an Islamic country?
I liked it. I didn't mind. I love the culture. I love the people. They're very hospitable.
Uh-huh.
Mm-hmm.
So then after, 5 years? How long were you there?
5 years, yeah.
Then you got an opportunity to, or chose, or how'd you get in China?
Yeah, there some friends of ours needed some help starting a training center, so they asked us to come along. And we didn't expect to spend a long time there, many years there, but we ended up spending 10 years in China, raising our kids there.
So as a Chilean and a Kansan living in Saudi Arabia and China, you guys probably learned, I presume, obviously you had Spanish, or Anna, you did. Mm-hmm. English, I presume, did you learn any of the Arabic languages?
We learned a little bit of Arabic, but of course, we're much longer in China, so we learned Chinese.
Learned Chinese. That was what, the Mandarin or Cantonese?
Mandarin.
The Mandarin.
Yeah, Northern.
Well, I'll tell you what, we lived in the Philippines for 7 years, and I don't know how in the world Chinese ever learned the Chinese language. To me, that seems like
it's tough.
Very difficult.
It's difficult,
language. Yeah. So you were primarily teaching English?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Raising your family?
Mm-hmm.
Anna, what's
and
that
studying
like?
the language as well. Well, it's different, but it's you adjust to different cultures. The people are also very friendly and loved. They all wanted us to help them practice English, so it's a great way to.
Yeah, very hospitable in both cases.
Mm-hmm.
I've noticed of late some of the problems going on in Hong Kong right now. The democratic revolution, of course, we all remember Tiananmen Square. Is there a real, what is the atmosphere of the people in China?
They're tacitly they're behind the people in Hong Kong because they have the same feeling, but it didn't go well last time in Tiananmen Square.
Right.
So I don't know if anybody has a lot of hope that there's going to be some real change, but
everybody does
hopefully.
have a desire for freedom, don't it?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So then, you guys, after working over there for several years, decided to make your way back to Oklahoma, settled down here in the great metropolis of Edmond, and started a very unique ministry. Anna, tell me about that.
So go into all the world from your own backyard. And really, you don't have to leave or get on a plane or go somewhere else. I feel like Jesus said, go into all the world and to share the gospel, and make disciples. And not enough people are going to all the world. And so I feel like this is something God is doing, that he's brought the whole world to our backyard. And now we have people from countries, so many countries from all over the world, hundreds of thousands of students studying here. Other people come on business. So we just have a lot of friends and neighbors, international students studying at universities, all here to learn English, to get a degree. Some of them, others like with work. And when we lived in other countries, we loved meeting people from from that country. You want to meet the locals, and you want to see what their culture is like, and you want to go to their home and see what their home is like and learn about it. But it's sad that so many people, so many students especially, come here and they're here 4 to 6 years and never make an American friend. They never set foot in an American home, and so it's sad. And some of them come here and think that we don't like them, or they have different misconceptions. And so I think part of it is just sometimes either fear or just ignorance, that we don't know, that maybe many Americans don't know that these internationals really want to make an American friend, and they really want to know what American culture is like and learn everything about it. So it's a wonderful opportunity, to show them the love of Christ.
What is the level of language competence in English that most of these students have when they come to America?
It depends. Some of them start going to a language school and have just very little. Others have more. It varies. There's from very little English to being able to get by. But they all need to practice English. They want, many times if they don't make American friends and they're hanging out with people of their own country, and it's harder for them to practice English. So they would like anything from just having someone that they see, an American that they meet with once a month over a meal, and they need practical things like maybe helping them go to Walmart. Many students don't have a car, or just including them in an activity that we're already doing and having them, or having them into our home. Everything from that to hosting them, like if you want to host a student and have them live with you, we're always looking for host families as well. But if you want to just get to know a student, like I said, by just meeting with them once a month, or once a week, helping them practice English, there's always a need for that.
The desire to learn English seems to be almost a universal desire. Mm-hmm. And, of course, I've heard it said, because of China's huge population, that there are more English speakers in China than there is in the United States. Mm-hmm. I don't know if that's true or not, but I know Ellen and I, some years ago, was in Istanbul, Turkey, sat down to eat, and two very nice handsome young men walked up and asked if they could sit down at the table with us and practice their English. And so this desire to get to know English, to speak in English, seems to be almost a universal type thing.
Yes, one of the reasons they come here is in most countries of the world, if you speak English, you will get a better job than if you don't. If you speak their native language and English, it's going to get them a better salary and get them a better job. So that's the main reason that students come here to learn English.
So while your desire may be ministry, their desire primarily is culture and language.
Yes.
Yeah.
Interesting.
It's a little bit embarrassing and somewhat disappointing. When we were in the Middle East and in China and many other countries, we were just invited in. Everybody wanted us to come to their home and have dinner. We couldn't accept all the invitations we had. However, here in the U.S., so many students, they're here and never get an invitation. Nobody wants to meet them, talk to them, learn about their culture. So, we're trying to get the word out that we need to show them some American hospitality.
That disturbs me,
Yeah.
particularly, so often, even in our news media, it seems like that we begin to paint Middle Easterners as almost the bad guys. We're very critical, or particularly Russia. I can remember growing up in the Cold War days when the villains in every movie was Russians, and the Chinese are going to buy us out and they're going to own us, and we're very anti. How has some Americans developed such attitude toward internationals, and do you think that the students you're working with, do they feel this I don't know if I want to use the word resentment, or at least this, you guys are the bad guys coming over here and taking advantage of our wonderful country type thing? What kind of attitudes do you run into?
Think most of the people that we're working with on a regular basis, they love being with international students. There's a little bit of a barrier initially, maybe a little bit of fear or trouble understanding what they're saying initially, but that goes away quickly. And a little bit of contact with an international student, suddenly you realize they're human just like you are. They have the same dreams and ideas, and so the barrier, if you actually get with an international student, goes away very quickly. But unfortunately, that first step is the hardest one to make, to get involved.
And that's the part you make simple.
Yeah, and one thing too is that most Muslims, when they come here, I think part of there's because of the media and things like that, it puts fear in people, and there's just a lot of people don't know, and most Muslims come here because they want to have a better life, because they want to have a better life for their kids. They want them to have a better education, and some of them to get away, they're disillusioned and get away from the problems of their countries that are having, and they don't like it, and they see this as a great, land, a freedom. And the other thing is, Jesus told us to love our enemies and pray for those who persecute us. And I feel like Matt was saying, when we were in the Middle East, people would go out of their way to welcome us into their homes. They're the most. Arab hospitality is one of the most amazing hospitalities. It brought me to tears just to see the love, the genuine love. They would do anything for us and welcome us like part of their family. But when they come here, they've told me they think Christians hate them. And so I feel like as believers, we need to let them know, we need to love them. We need to show them the love of Christ, because that's something Jesus called us to do. And they're when they're so moved and touched by it, because when we tell them that we do care about them, and when they realize the difference, we can help dispel misconceptions that they have lied to them about us, or things that they've told them wrongly about Christianity. So when we show them the love of Christ and tell them the truth of what the Bible says, it really, I think it's important for while they're here to.
I'm Glenn Howard, Senior World Radio, talking today with Matt and Anna, talking about a subject that really does excite me. I think for some of our seniors, to be able to invite an international student from the Middle East, from China, from Latin America, from any place, into your home to have a meal with them, to just simply be a friend, would be one of the most exciting things that you would ever do. We've got to take a break. We're coming right back, so please stay right here with me.
You're nobody till somebody loves you.
Have you ever had a problem, but it seemed like there was no one who could help? You spent hours calling around, being referred from one place to the next. Well, not anymore. I want to tell you about a free and easy-to-use service in Oklahoma. 211 is a simple 3-digit phone number to get help or to give help when you don't know where to turn. Dialing 211 only takes a minute, and you are connected with a caring Oklahoman who will help you find the assistance you've been looking for. With access to over 13,000 programs, Heartline 211 can connect you to local resources for many different needs, including health care, food, counseling, rent assistance, disability assistance, job services, and much more. 211 is a service of Heartline, a United Way partner agency. 211, the right first call to get help or give help 24 hours a day.
Hi, my name's Jason Ledlow, president of UT Phone, the ultimate telephone service. We're proud to be a sponsor of Senior World Radio with Glenn Howard. UT Phone is dedicated to providing Oklahomans affordable telephone service all across our great state. We have Lifeline home phone service starting at just $1.95. That's right, just $1.95, and most of Oklahoma's seniors qualify for this reduced home phone service. They get to keep their old home phone number, and it even includes long distance. Another great feature of UT Phone's customers really like is that it includes repair service. That's right, any repairs at no additional charge. With many telephone services charging $40 to $50 per month, it makes sense to switch your service to UT Phone. This service is a federal program that is provided through the Universal Service Fund. There is only one per household, so make it UT Phone's home phone service for $1.95. Give us a call at 800-996-0098. Again, call 800-996-0098.
I've made up my
Welcome back to Senior World Radio. I'm Glenn Howard, visiting today with Matt and Anna. Matt and Anna spent several years in the Middle East, several years in China, learned the language, came back home and started making it possible for people to get to know international students and befriend them. You know, Matt, I remember when Ella and I first went to the Philippines, we were working over there in a Bible school called Manila Bible Institute. Every letter that we wrote back home, we always signed with quoting a scripture. Matthew 24:14, Jesus says, "The good news of the kingdom will be proclaimed to all the world as a witness to every nation, then the end will come." And we really kind of felt like that God is going to carry the gospel to the whole world, and if we can't take it to them, He's going to bring the world to us in order that we can get a chance to share our faith with them. And yet, Anna, as you're saying, so many people kind of resist the international students, whether out of fear or resentment or whatever, and fail to take the opportunities to get to know them. Do you recall offhand any instance where people have been a little reluctant to get involved with an international, and once they did, they developed a relationship that truly become very meaningful to them?
Yes, I mean people do at first. Maybe they're. Did you want to talk about that?
We have we have a friend who was very resistant to getting to know internationals, and after many attempts of his wife trying to get him involved, mentioning how we should do something, they suddenly had to. They opened their home to an emergency situation, had a Korean student come and stay with them for a few days. And that just sparked a love for international students. And now I think they've been to the wedding, the person's wedding, and been to their country. And they've since then they've had a Bible study for years now for international students. And but
in their home.
In their home again, it's been they started out with absolutely no interest and were almost afraid of it, and now they've had an impact on literally thousands of international students.
And every one of them, like different ones that come and have a student visit them or for a meal, people have told us for the grandkids, for their children, it's a wonderful experience for them to learn firsthand about the world. Yeah.
Okay, now, Matt, first of all, how do you create the meetings where you have people that can come and meet with international students? How, if somebody, first of all, let me give you their email address and phone number, because if you're interested in getting a chance to know international students, hey, this is a wonderful opportunity for you. You can write Matt, it's Matthew 3332. I don't know what in the world that 3332 stands for, but it sure is easy to remember. Matthew 3332 at yahoo.com. Or you can give them a phone call here at 405, of course, 326-7505 and say, hey, I'm interested. But if somebody called you, how would you actually go about helping introduce them to international students?
Okay, that's a great question. There are actually several ways. If your commitment level is once a month to do something with a student, we can get you hooked up with some university programs where they organize this type of thing and hook you up with a student. There are also, if you want to help them practice English, there are several ways that you can just go once a week or once every couple of weeks and sit and talk to kids in English. There are just probably 4 or 5 different opportunities with the various universities around. They're all a little bit different, so contact us. That's Matthew3332 at yahoo.com or the phone number mentioned, and just let us know, and we can, depending on where you live, we can try to make it convenient for you.
Do you ever have just an open meeting where you bring some international students and bring some brand new people together and say, hey, let's just come out, we're going to have coffee and donuts and give you a chance to meet some of these people and talk about them?
Yeah, we have something called Conversation Cafes, and we invite
Conversation
Cafes.
All right.
And so,
Tell me about it.
Yeah, Conversation Cafe is a place where we invite Americans to come, and then we invite international students to come, and they can meet each other. And it's just a place, we have refreshments, and just a place for them to meet and help the Americans help the international students to practice English. And they can talk, they can show pictures from their phone of their family, and just talk about anything at all, and we can help them too with conversation starters, but just to make friends and in an informal way, and that way helping the international practice English.
How large will most of these groups be?
They're probably 30 to 40, half and half
Okay.
Americans, half internationals.
So this is a small group. You get together 30, 40 people. You're in charge of the program, so there's no awkward getting introduced or embarrassment from that. It just matter you get them together and you introduce them to each other and let them sit around in conversation cafe, drink a cup of coffee, and talk to each other.
Yeah, that's right.
And then go
Simple.
from there.
Yeah.
There are other smaller groups for like women only that are like
Okay.
between 5 and 10 women also meet at a coffee shop for coffee or tea.
That's interesting because I've been working with seniors now. This is our 7th year at this radio show. I find particularly a lot of older women are very, very lonely. They love to have their kids come see them more often. They don't. Grandkids, maybe Christmas and Thanksgiving. But the idea of having a friend, somebody to visit with, some of these international students could create a wonderful relationship, sharing their culture, their background, their feelings, and it would be very easy and there would be no cost to it whatsoever. Do you have any of them doing this?
I don't know.
Yeah, we have a few,
There's some
yeah.
there's some retired that are helping with helping them practice English, and some helping with Bible studies. And international students love seniors, and they are very they just
They're
love.
taught to be respectful to older people more than they are in the United States, and so they tend to relate better. A lot of times they have a grandparent in their home their whole lives, and so it's much easier for them to relate to older people.
The first time I heard about your program, I was thinking more in terms of younger families with children, how exciting it would be to have kids get to know international students and talk about other countries. I know when I was growing up, there was a book called If I Were Going, and it was just a story about all the different countries around the world. And even to this day, I can still remember many of the stories that I read back in grade school. So I thought of that in terms of children, but the idea of seniors, of older people, retired people who have plenty of time. We're not talking about any kind of an expense, just simply getting a chance to take an international student from China, Japan, Korea, Saudi Arabia, Iran, wherever the country may be, just to get to know people. Anna, that sounds to me like a rather exciting experience.
It's wonderful. It's very rewarding. It's very rewarding. We love living in other countries, and we've really enjoyed it, but we do feel like God's brought the whole world to our own backyard, and so it's we don't have to go very far to learn about other cultures, and it's right here in Oklahoma.
Matt, I just, why don't you just extend an invitation to our listeners to try to come out? Do you have something scheduled in the near future for them, or what?
Yeah. Actually, there are things scheduled all over the metro area, and so it's best to contact me because they're just, I don't want you to have to drive all the way across Oklahoma City or from Norman to Edmond or whatever, because there's something going on pretty much all over. I'm not doing all of it, but there are different church groups and ministry groups and university programs all over, because the universities are really trying to get internationals connected. They know that if they have a better experience, they're going to recommend it to their friends. And right now it's a big source of income for universities across Oklahoma. So there's so many programs, so many different things available that probably you won't have to drive very far at all to be able to get involved in something.
So you're not working with just one university, but you're working with many different ones.
Many, yeah. I don't want anybody to have to drive or go too far out of their way to be able to get involved. And there's just stuff going on every university campus around the metro area.
And this is a program the universities are supporting.
Absolutely, they're looking for
Yeah.
people.
They
to
have
get
their own
involved.
programs. Universities have programs
Right.
for international students
So
to
that-
meet American families.
I went out to a University of Central Oklahoma a while back and noticed there was a tendency, I guess, of all of us to try to find people from our own country. Particularly being in the Philippines 7 years, I found a lot of the Filipinos, they all know each other, they relate to each other, they get together, and naturally that's what we would do if we were in a different country. But to be able to extend that relationship to where they're getting involved with Americans, People love to make mission trips. I don't know why we are not more excited about making missions relationships.
That's right. That's
whether
right.
we're getting acquainted with them.
Yeah,
if
and
you're,
one thing I was going to say is the universities that offer this a program to the students to meet an American family or to make friends with an American family, and there is a waiting list of university students that sometimes never get called because there's not enough families or Americans or couples or whatever. There's not enough Americans that have signed up to get matched with an international student. So it's pretty sad that that there are students that are on waiting lists waiting to meet an American or an American family.
I find that very frustrating, that there are people who want to be missionaries, who want to go overseas, and yet when internationals come here, they're not that excited, or maybe they're excited, maybe they just haven't had an opportunity. I don't know.
Yeah, we have done that. We've seen that before where a church group, ministry group, or whatever would like to go overseas, is planning to go overseas, and they want to get some experience with internationals. So they'll come along to one of the events that we're involved in. Or if they just can't get up the airfare to go overseas, they can do a mission
This is a
trip
good alternative.
right here in Oklahoma City.
Write down this phone number, 405, the number 326-7505. Again, that's 326-7505. Or write Matt, is Matthew3332@yahoo.com. Get a chance to go to one of these conversation cafes. That sounds like fun. I think I'm going to try to do that myself. If they've got a waiting list of international students who want to get acquainted with American families, American couples, or an American individual, a single man or a single lady, can develop a new friend with an international student, I think that's fantastic. Guys, thanks so much for coming in. I'm Glenn Howard, Senior World Radio. We've been visiting with Matt and Anna, talking about becoming a friend with international students. I hope you'll take it seriously. But, guys, we've run out of time. I got to go.
Okay.
We'll be back again this same time next week. And until then, be kind to everybody you know, especially if you can find an international student, and particularly do something good for yourself. See you this time next week.
Thank
Bye-bye
you.
now.
Thanks.
Thank you.
I'm on the top of the world, looking down on creation, and the only explanation I can